And this is Matthew Boyle here for Breitbart News. It's the Conservative Political Action Conference hosted by the American Conservative Union out in National Harbor. My guest right now is Jim Hanson, the Executive Vice President for the Center for Security Policy. Jim, we were talking just before we got on here about the AUMF. Can you tell me what is it? What is the strategy that we need to defeat and actually degrade and destroy ISIS instead of what the president's putting forward?
Yeah, well, the president put out a draft AUMF that basically tried to handcuff himself and his successors. And we don't believe he's actually trying to win the war. We believe he's trying to keep the media off his back and do as little as possible. So the Center for Security Policy, now Secure Freedom, put out a Secure Freedom strategy that actually has a draft AUMF giving the president the authority he needs to fight the entire global jihad movement.
So why is it that this president who says we have to go out there and degrade, destroy ISIS, he's got all this really tough rhetoric? I mean, obviously he isn't actually addressing the threat of radical Islam. He thinks that it's not Islamic. But why is he not putting forward, I mean, with all this rhetoric, we got to go destroy ISIS, he's not actually doing it?
Well, because he doesn't actually want to. I mean, what he doesn't want to do is be seen as degrading Islam in any way. And the problem is that there are too many Muslims who follow a version of Islam, and that's hundreds of millions. It's not a couple. This is not a tiny group. This is hundreds of millions of Muslims who believe that jihad is the way, and they're fighting us. They declared war on us. We need to return the favor and take them seriously. So
we just saw, what was it, a couple of weeks ago, this big party at the White House, if you will, right? They had their countering violent extremism, and there were Muslim Brotherhood officials at the White House. What is going on here?
They've infiltrated. I mean, the president does not understand or does not care who he's dealing with. He's dealing with people whose mission is to infiltrate, and they've succeeded, and to go ahead and use our freedoms to impose their religion and their laws on us. And we need to stop him. And hopefully, again, we get to vote again. We've got Congress looking at a new draft AUMF, and hopefully that will at least put some sort of plan in play other than the president's plan, which is photo op diplomacy.
Now, tell as I understand it, the influence operation, if you will, that the Muslim Brotherhood has built in the United States and throughout the West is not unlike the influence operation that a generation before us saw with the communists. Can you tell us a little bit about it? Why are they doing this? Why are they attempting to get close to our politicians? Why are they engaged in that kind of activity?
Because they can, and because it's working. I mean, it was a perfect analogy you made, comparing it to the Soviet Union and the communist influence operations, because that's the Muslim Brotherhood. They've written it down. We've actually got, the center's got copies of their documents from the Muslim Brotherhood in America laying out their plan to infiltrate, to use our freedoms against us.
And now they're doing it.
And they're winning. They're in the State Department, they're in the White House, they're invited guests. And the problem is you can't have moderate Muslims rising up when the president's empowering the radical Muslims. So until that changes, they will dominate, and they scare the actual moderate Muslims from raising their voices.
Now, we're at the Conservative Political Action Conference, and last year and the year before, I know our organization, your guys' organization, kind of teamed together to do what we called the Uninvited and then the Uninvited 2, the National Security Action Summit. Now, it seems like we didn't have to do the Uninvited this year at CPAC. In the last couple of years, there was kind of a dearth of focus on national security, social conservative, all sorts of other issues. But so it seems like they brought it back in this year under new leadership. What are your thoughts on that?
I think it's wonderful. How can you be a conservative and not be concerned about national security? All the rest of our freedoms rely on the fact that we are the freest country with the most liberty on earth. We are the exceptional nation, and that's because we defend freedoms here and we defend them abroad when they're threatened. So the fact that CPAC has embraced that again and has brought in groups like us, like other folks who focus on that, is a godsend for all of us. So thank you.
All right, and again, folks, this is Matthew Boyle here for Breitbart News, the Conservative Political Action Conference. My guest here has been Jim Hanson with the Center for Security Policy. And Jim, where can people find more information about what you got?
SecureFreedom.org. There is all kinds of good information, and we'll be in Congress, hopefully helping them pass some legislation to help the president.
All right, thanks so much, Jim.